Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of our F1 22 My Team Career Mode, and this time we are heading to Brazil. This is the second to last race, so we are very quickly closing in on the end of the season. You can see in terms of performance, we haven't really made any upgrades. Red Bull have made huge strides in the performance chart. They went from the third best team to the quickest now. You can see that our engine is not great, the MGU-H. We've only got 48%. So we are going to have to take another one of those, which is annoying because it means we're going to have a 5-place grid penalty. However, it is Brazil, and that does mean we have a sprint race. So, I mean, obviously we'll have to do this qualifying now, but we should be able to hopefully make up some extra positions in the sprint race, so the 5-place penalty does not cause us too many issues. So straight into qualifying here for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Like I was saying earlier, we do have a sprint race, so obviously we want to be able to get a pretty decent result in the normal qualifying, but it doesn't matter too much because we should be able to make up positions in the sprint. But nonetheless, obviously, we are going to try and get the best result we can in this qualifying session. This is a full qualifying session, so this is Q1, and we're going to have to try and get out of it. We crossed the line with a 1:08.4, which doesn't seem to be very quick. We're about 4 tenths down on Yuki Tsunoda already, and skipping forward, we are in P18. We are over a second slower than Jenson Button. That is, that's far from ideal. I'm not sure what is going on with the performance here. The second and final run of Q1, we're about 3 tenths up only. We have not been able to find the pace in this qualifying session today so far. And I'm not sure if this is going to be enough to actually get us out of Q1. Are we going to be knocked out of Q1 for the first time in a very, very long time in a car that really should be reaching Q3, and, you know, in the past 2 races has had a podium and a race win, and yes, we have been knocked out. Jenson Button gets a 107.3 and we can only do a 108. So we will be starting the sprint race in P21.
So it is all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top?
Okay, into the sprint now. We are on the medium tyre. We are not planning on doing any pit stops, as you would imagine, given it is a sprint race and it is only 12 laps. We have an absolutely terrible start. We almost smack it into the wall just from pulling away there, but we managed to recover reasonably well. We've already sent it down the inside of Latifi. We're looking to send down the inside of Lance Stroll now as well. Can we get ourselves up 2 positions from the start? It looks like we have been able to do it. Stroll is really quick though. He's definitely gaining on us, as there is front wing going everywhere. So somebody is definitely going to be going into the pits, which is basically going to ruin their race. Because I doubt they'll be able to recover much in the next 11 laps. As we have to make it a sort of emergency dive bomb down 3 cars because they went so slow. Someone else lost wing. I think Schumacher just hit us as well. And that puts us up into P17. So yeah, we had a really terrible getaway from the line. But it doesn't really matter because we've made a lot of positions. Esteban Ocon heads into the pit. Max Verstappen is into the pit. We are up into P15 now. Bear in mind we start at P21. So 1 lap and we've already made up a bucket load of places. We send it down the inside of Gasly as well. A pretty opportunistic move, but thankfully he just about sees us coming and gets out of the way of us. So that is us up into P14. Next up the road, Lance Stroll's teammate, who we pretty quickly got past earlier, Sebastian Vettel. We'll be trying to get past him. We get the DRS. He's also got DRS. He very much goes as close to the wall as he possibly can to try and defend. We get a purple sector 3. So you can see we are definitely making progress, you know. I don't know why we were so slow in qualifying, as we have a cheeky corner cut there, but we'll pretend nobody saw that. So that is us up into P13 now on lap 5. You know what? We might even be able to get ourselves into the top 10. I mean, if we can get ourselves top 8, then we'll even get some points. I doubt we'll be able to get that far, but you never know. On to lap 6, onto the main straight. We are following Fernando Alonso, and we go for a huge dive bomb. We make a fair bit of contact there. I think Alonso just decided that he was unhappy with us doing that dive bomb and was just going to turn into us and pretend that we don't exist. But we do exist, and he did turn into us, but it doesn't matter because we have made the position. We are up into P12. Looks like we got away with it in terms of damage, so we haven't got any damage. I don't know about Alonso. We'll have to see if he peels off into the pits at the end of this lap. But next up is Albon. Do we go for a dive bomb like we did on Gasly? Not quite, but we've got huge closing speed on him in the main straight, and we send it down the inside. We give him enough room there, and that is us up into P11 already. Now, with it being lap 8, meaning there's only 4 laps to go, and Bottas and Magnussen are 2 seconds up the road, I think this is probably about as far as we're going to get. I mean, we're going to push hard, but having big oversteer moments like that is not going to help. Yeah, on to lap 12 now, and we've managed to close in a little bit on Bottas. We've made like 5 attempts maybe. We've reduced the deficit to about 1.3 seconds or so. But it hasn't been enough to get us into the DRS, so I don't think we're going to be making much progress in the rest of this sprint as we cross the line in P11. Not too bad. Obviously, we did finish in P11, but we still do have that penalty we've got to do, so we will be starting in P16 for the race, with Jenson Button starting in P8.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us all to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. 2 very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Yung Cao into one of the 2 DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Button, Magnussen, Sebastian Vettel and Ricciardo, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Leclerc. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Pierre Gasly. Albon, Russell, they've taken a grid penalty. Guan Yu Zhou, Paul, Sainz, Mick Schumacher, Valtteri Bottas. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Lance Stroll, Ocon, Tsunoda, Latifi, and Max Verstappen completes the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Looks like quite a few other guys, once again, at this near the end point of the season, have got engine penalties. So we actually start P14, and Jenson Button starts P3. He starts already in the podium positions. Whether he'll be able to hold on to the podium, we'll have to see. But hopefully, assuming we don't have any engine issues, he should get some pretty decent points for us. We're going to have to work our way through the field to be able to get some points on the board for ourselves. But overall, I think we should be in for a pretty decent team result, as the lights are out and we are underway for the Brazilian Grand Prix. You can see us there right at the back. We're already trying to fight with the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, I think that is. As we make a little bit of contact, he does go into the rear wheel of our car. Whether... well, I mean, I think that was a racing incident, to be honest. We didn't give him a huge amount of room, but it is lap 1. As the Aston Martin is trying to get past us, as there is even more front wing going all over the place behind us. So somebody is definitely going to be going into the pits at the end of this lap. As we jump on board of ourselves, and there is a yellow flag. What's that all about? It looks like there's an Alpine that's quite slow, or stopped behind us. Oh, here's the replay. It's this Alpine right at the back. And he just misjudges everyone's braking and goes into the back of the Williams. So that brings out a safety car for us, and we are now on the safety car restart. We are very, very close to Zhou Guan Yu. We sent it down the inside, even sent it down the inside of Albon, who just, once again, just pretends that we don't exist and rides our side pod. seems like we didn't get any damage. Now, I don't know if you spotted earlier, but the weather report did say it is going to be raining at some point in this race. Pretty early on, in fact. Not like the last race in USA, where it was going to be right at the end. It's going to be, well, now, basically. On to lap 4, and it is already raining. That is why I started on the softs. Everyone else has started on mediums, but I knew that it was going to be raining very, very quickly, and we'd be having to go in for inters anyway. So might as well start on the softer compound. It's going to be quicker and let us get through some people. But on to lap 5. We are in P12. We are sending it down inside of George Russell, and we've made the move stick. So on to lap 6. DRS is now enabled after the safety car, but I suspect it will be disabled pretty quickly because it is getting slippery out there. Not quite into condition yet, I don't think. But give it a couple more laps, and I think we'll start to see some pit stops. It looks like I was wrong. Conditions changed quite considerably throughout that one lap, and at the end of lap 6, it is far wetter than it was, and we have come in as we get a really weird pit glitch, as we also have an issue attaching the front tyre, which is quite annoying. Somehow, even though we had an issue there, we have managed to stay ahead of George Russell, which is good for us, because he is a very, very quick car, but it is quite difficult to overtake in the rain, so we might be able to hold on to the position. We are currently P15. I'm not sure if that is because of our issues in the pit stop, or if people have just not pitted. Onto lap 9, it looks like we are actually back into P11, although we are currently in the battle of George Russell, which we managed to win. But yeah, P11, you got Yuki Tsunoda up the road, but he's like 2 seconds away from us, and he seems to be pulling away. Seems like the lack of pace we had in qualifying has hit us once again in the race. We seem to be quick in the sprint, as we have a massive moment there and have to go onto the runoff, basically, to avoid colliding or spinning into anyone. And unfortunately that meant that we had to give up the place to George Russell. We almost gave up the place to Albon. But we're skipping forward here to just show you that it's pretty much exactly the same situation for quite a few laps. We've got ourselves trying to follow Tsunoda, who is pulling away. He's now 5.5 seconds. And Albon somehow managing to keep pace with us. We are now at the pace level of a Williams. Not very good. On to lap 14. Max Verstappen and I think that's Carlos Sainz, I'm not sure. One of the Ferraris has managed to catch up to the back of us, and we are going side by side with Max Verstappen. We make a little bit of contact, but we have managed to stay ahead for the time being, but he is very close to us, and he's going to have the run on us into the second straight. What way is he going to go? He sends it down outside by the looks of it, as behind us you've got the McLaren and the Ferrari going side by side as well. So it'll be interesting to see who wins out in this battle. We've managed to win in our battle with the Red Bull, but now the Ferrari is trying to get past the Red Bull, going side by side into this section here. Who is going to win out in this battle? You got Max Verstappen going down the inside, which hasn't quite worked. Is the Ferrari going to be able to slip through? They're still side by side, and the Ferrari has actually managed to slip through. So it is now a Ferrari that we're going to be battling with, as Max Verstappen pulls into the pits. So he must have got damage. I mean, he was into the pits in the sprint as well, so it's been a pretty terrible weekend for him. We've got Carlos Sainz behind us, so that is definitely who the Ferrari was. He pulls out to the outside. We take the inside line, and seems to be just about enough to keep the position, but we are now under pressure from both the McLaren and the Ferrari. It'll be interesting to see how this battle plays out. Seems like we've got away with the battle so far, and the Ferrari is still on us. He sends it down the inside on us, pulls the move that we've been pulling on quite a few drivers so far. But it does mean that we have the inside line here, and we've been able to squeeze through. The McLaren is now coming at us. This is just madness, as we send it down the inside and hopefully retain the position. It looks like we've been able to. Behind us, the Ferrari is now trying to get back past the McLaren. It's all sorts of madness is going on here as we round the corner to get onto the main straight. Look at the train that we are carrying right now. There are so many cars that we have just got behind us as we've binned it. We have binned it. We've spun into the wall there, and absolute carnage. What is going on? Here's the replay. We've binned it, and that train I was talking about, they've all collided into us. and we've ruined our race and quite a few other drivers' races as well. All in one little error there. Well, it was going to happen at some point. We've managed to get away with not crashing, but in the rain and having to push as hard as we were, we just made that one mistake, but it cost us. To be honest, I don't think we were going to be getting anywhere near the point, so it doesn't matter too much. Jenson Button manages to get himself P5, so he brings home some pretty decent points for himself. Unfortunately, in the drivers, we have lost out to Lewis Hamilton and Perez, I think that was. And in the constructors, we are still almost 40 points away from Red Bull, so, I mean, I think we've only got one race left, so I really doubt we'll be getting third position, but we're definitely getting fourth, so that'll be interesting. So, yeah, other than that, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fantastic stuff, and I'll see you next time in Abu Dhabi.